Okay, once your 3 screws are back in, tightened up, clips on, fork clips on, everything's done. The last place I grease is on this gear here. And just smooth it in. You don't need to put an excessive amount on there. Again, it'll crunch and come off. But as it gets rubbed around and this spins, it'll get a mess in there and be on everything you need it to be on. Okay, so once that's done, we're putting the board back on. We're gonna bring it around and we're gonna hook it up to this board right here. Remember, it only plugs in this part facing you here and the board facing you like it was when it came off. I'll flip it around like so, and then just gotta look at it and line it up. Line it up with all the pins, make sure the pins are right. Once that's done, set it up here, set your 2 screws in the top. This 2 screws that go in the top are machine thread, they're real fine threads. I'll see if I can show you one of those real quick. Okay, here's a fine thread. I don't know how well you can see it, but the ones that are not fine thread usually go, here's one right here. It's kind of got a point on the end. They generally go in the bottom corners because they got plastic that goes in like ones right here. Okay, bottom 4 corners. Machine go into these. All the 4 up top. 1, 2, well, 1, 2 over here, and 1, 2. So that's a total of what, 6? 6 machine screws. Okay, until I come back. Okay, next thing I do, the board's plugged back in, 2 screws on it. Just look around, make sure nothing's out of place. Okay, I don't put this cover back on just yet. I keep a distance and plug this back in with the chain disconnected. And what I'm wanting to do is, it's called, we're plugging it in, so do not touch anything inside. What we're doing is setting up what they call the timing. Very important step. You'll need to get somebody to either push the button or you can jump the 1st and 2nd screw. And if you jump them, we're looking for this to go clockwise rotation until it stops. This is the timing. And that's counterclockwise. So, push the button again until it goes all the way and stops. If it goes a little bit and stops, that's good. It stopped. It's in the down rotation. Clockwise till it went to the down rotation, then stopped. I'll show you. This is going up. Push the button, or I'm jumping it with vice grips. Just these 2. This is going down. When it stops, unplug it. Unplug it. You don't want this to move no more. This is more or less back to factory set in the down position. Next, you're going to set the chain up and engage it. And I'll get to the first step would be, other than unplugging it, would be to loosen this nut. If your chain, well, in my case it's off because the gear broke, but I want to take this nut and loosen it all the way to where I would have slack in the chain, because when I put it all back together I need that slack in the chain. So basically just get this outer nut, run it down the stud. Let me see if I can hold it better. Don't take it all the way off. Run it down till it's just about to be off. And that allows this to slack up. Okay? We'll engage this right here if it's possible, or at least when we're, now I'm putting it back together right now. So everything's done up there. I've got my gear timing done. I just didn't loosen this earlier because the chain was already off. But now I want, that's in the down position up there at the opener with the motor unplugged. Remember what I said about clockwise? Okay, well, we're putting this, we engage this, so the door's down and this is engaged. And we're going to take all the slack out of it. See how it's shutting the door? And run it all up there until it's on. So I'll go back to that. Okay, so now that we got that done, pull the chain on the right side, get all the slack you can out. And of course, this is unplugged. Let me get my light. Okay. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Okay, I couldn't get it, but it's so tight. But if you're looking down this is tight all the way from the door being shut, tighten up all the way, ran around the gear as best as I can get it. This side here. The other side coming back towards, as it's running this way, that's going down to that set screw. Okay, we're going to tighten that set screw back up, and it'll pull everything tight. Then we're going to leave it a little bit loose. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, now we got that step done. We're going to make sure the chain's not twisted around. Make sure it's nice and straight. You're going to pull this up, get that chain up, slack, and tighten this nut down all the way until it touches this. Okay, so let's do. Okay, so we tighten that down until it touched. Now that took all the slack out of the chain, but we do want to have a little bit of slack, because if you don't have much slack, you're going to tear that little sprocket off the top in a short time. Once that's pretty much snugged up and you got a little bit of play in it, you're going to set this lock by tightening it down, put 2 wrenches on it, one over here and one over here, and just tighten them together. Try not to allow this to rotate. That's your chain. Keep it level so you can see these teeth out to the side. Okay? And we're about done. Just a few minor adjustments, putting the cover back on. Oh, and some people have a sprocket up here and a chain jumps off, or even the pulley, it's on his, but sometimes it'll drop off. Always check it at the very end of the opener. Okay? Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but the chain dips a little bit. That's good. That's what we want. We want the chain after it's tightened up to dip. So now it's good and locked down. Everything is in the down position. The door's closed, the opener's in the down position because we went clockwise until it stopped, hooked up the chain. So now when we turn it on, it's going to go counterclockwise, which is going to lift the door. That's called your timing, and it's very important. It works off of these gears down here. Okay, so it's important that they're working. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this cover back on. Where you see these holes, they're there for making it accessible to your up and down limits. So this goes on this side. Put it on there, get you a machine screw and get it ready to put one in each side. One over here, and just put all those screws back in. Machine screws on the top, the bottom get the pointy standard screws, wood screws, plastic, whatever. And it's because they screw into this plastic at the bottom. Okay, go ahead and do that. Once you've done, plug it in. All right, once you've put all your bolts back in and got everything good and tight on your casing, and you verify that you can access these screws. I mistakenly, when I was learning, put this on backwards and couldn't access these screws and had to remove it to make any adjustments. Presets on most doors, if they're working correctly, you can go put these blue things pointing, the little pointy part, down at about 4 o'clock position. You don't want to turn these all the way up. I mean, because if a kid gets under the door, it's not going to stop. It's going to end up hurting somebody or damage the door, or both. So set them no more than 7 if you can. But a preset is what I usually do, about 4, and it usually works. If the door's a little heavy, I might have to make it go a little tighter on the, or push a little harder on the up, and you just turn it up, but no more than 7. Chain's on, everything's done. We are plugging it in and giving this thing life. All right, now, if you've done everything right, you'll walk over to the button and push the button, and it should lift the door. That's it. And you want it to shut back and stop. You want the motor to turn off when the door hits the ground. Boom, just like that. All right, well, thank you. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I'll do what I can to answer them. Again, this is on a standard, this is a liftmaster, which is made by Chamberlain, that makes Sears, Chamberlain, and liftmaster, and probably a few other names. But if you notice, Chamberlain had their manufacturer in the Chamberlain group. So that's pretty much the same gear kit from present all the way back to 1984. That gear kit is pretty much standard on the chain-driven Chamberlain openers, and there's not many variations in that look. Now, some of these bushings you might have a couple of extra up. Always remember though, you have the little cup bushing, the spring or washer, the springy looking, sets into the cup, then the thin flat washer, just like so. And that's your spring tension that goes on that where the RPM wheel was. Don't worry about the other washer, that is for a different unit. So anyway, it looks like somebody would probably put 2 on this one at one time because they're both worn. Neither one of them's, yeah, okay. All right, again, if you, we are completely done here. We're just gonna do a whole full cycle on this door, make sure it goes up and down. If it's not, if you're done and it's not touching the floor or it's standing that rail up, these adjustments right here is what you need to mess with. If this is your down and this is your up in this case, and if you turn it counterclockwise on the down arrow, it will allow it to go farther down. I always encourage, if you do any of that, to do it with this disengaged. Pull it down on most openers and slide it back. When you're ready to re-engage it, just slide it forward and line it back up. That clicks. I'm gonna put a link in this video, or a link below the video, on where you could buy the gear kit to do what I just got through doing. It's really not that hard if you got a little common sense and hand tools. Just remember, always unplug the opener while handling inside of it, because there is exposed wires right inside where this plugs in. There's exposed wires under there that can shock you. So let's be safe, not sorry. And that gear kit's gonna run somewhere in the neighborhood of about $38 to $40. So if you'd like to get it from me, well, plus shipping, and we'll get it to you. And again, feel freely to use this video as support to help you do this job. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.